Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to a live Shelby on Safari. I hope you guys are well and ready for a catacular filled evening. Over the course of the next few minutes, we are going to be discussing with my buddy Peter here, having a quick Q&A with my beloved boy, as well as then taking a quick look into the history of cats, with, of course, some little sprinkles of questions in there for you guys. And then going to share with you some interesting recent cat studies that have been done before wrapping up the evening talking about my top 3 favorite cats in pop culture. As one does here on Shelby on Safari, a little bit of everything. I probably should say, hello, I'm Shelby. I'm a wild animal biologist who loves combining animals, pop culture, and history into one, and I do so quite frequently on my channel, from comparing animals to pop culture icons like Pokemon. But more importantly, this week, friends, is all about Peter. And not just my handsome boy who's behind me, but Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, my favorite superhero of all time, because of course, in just a few weeks' time, Spider-Man No Way Home is coming out. And if you can't tell, I'm super stoked about that. And so this week, Peter is taking over, my beloved Peter is taking over my Instagram and here on YouTube as well to celebrate Peter Parker's everywhere, because he is quite the variant. Now, Peter just jumped down from his magical spot, so don't worry, friends. I've brought down my wonderful collective bag of Dreamies. Hello, friends. Hello, Honest Bee by G. Nice to see ya. And Crazy LV. Yay. Hello. Now, Crazy LV, you're going to be excited for one of my favorite cats in pop culture, because I'm pretty sure you know who this cat is. But anyways, come on, Peter. Come on, say hi. So, Peter here is adorable beyond all reason, right? And he's going to have some dreamies. But in true fashion, while I answer some of Peter's questions that you guys kindly sent in over on my Instagram, which, by the way, if you don't follow me, ow, that's my finger, dude. You can do so here at Shelby on Safari. I'm across all these platforms, but more importantly, I wanted to show this slide because what comes next after this slide? Look at my baby boy. That is a baby picture of Peter, because I thought, actually, while we're doing a Peter Q&A, what better way to, that is again my finger, Peter, to showcase some of his adorable baby photos. Hello, Katie. Nice to see ya. Nice to see ya. So yes, my friend Rita actually took this picture. Rita will be on in just a bit. Credit to Rita for this adorable picture of my adorable boy. So yeah, Peter is quite the interesting cat. He does love a good sleep, but he also, I swear, he knows when he's on camera. So my friend Sean asked over on Instagram, when is Peter going to come live with her? Peter is my favorite animal that she had, well, her favorite animal of mine kind of thing, because I have quite a few. In fact, I encouraged Sean to get kind of Madagascan hissing cockroaches, which I'm quite chuffed with, and she loves them as well. But yeah, out of all my crazy animals, she loves Peter, so I was not surprised when she asked that question. But Peter, I'm not sure. I mean, I'd love to go over and bring Peter on a road trip to Wales to see you, of course. Huh, Pete? That would be fun. But yeah. I'm not sure how Peter would be with the rest of my friend Sean's animals, because Sean has quite the few amazing creatures like Fahrenheit and Padfoot. But I realize Peter's just out of frame. Come on, Pete. There we go. So yeah, if you've seen on Instagram, I'm going to have him sit just now, continually tilting the screen down. But yeah, Peter likes to sit like this when it comes to dinner. He loves a good tummy tickle, and he's purring. One thing about Peter is his purrs. You can say his name from across the room, and he'll just start purring. He's a little purr machine. And yeah, he's super content now, although he is staring at the bag of Dreamies that's on the counter. But yes, he does love belly rubs. Now, I'm going to flip back over to his adorable baby picture, because I have a question for you guys. As you know, I love asking you guys questions. Now, I'm not expecting you guys to get this one because you don't know Peter, but I thought, why not have a question of my baby boy? So what is Peter's favorite Dreamy flavor? So for my American friends, Dreamies are like the little cat crunchy treats that you have. I would like to know, do you think his favorite flavor is A, tuna, B, cheese, C, bead. That was beef. I can spell. Or D, all of the above. Hi, Rita Skeeter. Nice to see you. Bead is the answer. Yeah, you would pick that up, Rita, with your quill. Yeah, Crazy LV. I'm sure you get the Rita Skeeter reference. Yeah, that magical quill of yours, Rita. Nice to see you too, Emma. Studio 77. Guys, Emma is a incredible person who makes some incredible stuff, but I'm really looking forward to her dinosaur pencil case bag. That's a great one after her shark pencil case, which was so cool, but she's doing a dinosaur one, which is even more amazing, if you can get better than that. But yes, okay, so Emma said D, Lucky L says D, everybody says D, all of the above. What? You guys, what made you think that about my poor Petey Weedy? Yes, Peter, what do you say, Pete? Are all of your favorite? Let's see what he's eating now, actually. He's having rich and chicken. But yes, you are all very correct, without a doubt. Oh, Crazy, you've changed it to beet. Yeah, he would eat cheese, but in fact, he loves all of the above, apart from bead, which is actually beef. But I'm sure he'd eat bead too, knowing Peter. But yeah, so that is his favorite Dreamy flavor. He's not too fussed, but this is my other favorite picture of my beloved boy, just chilling, again, when he was a little kitten. So Peter, he's a rescue kitten, and he definitely has gotten a lot bigger than this picture. He is massive, a massive cat. He enjoys particularly sleeping at the moment on the sofa next to the radiator because it's quite cold. But he is just a very gentle sort. Like, I've never had any kind of issues with him with the other cats and whatnot. He's a good friend to the others. But you'll see on my Instagram, I swear he knows he's being filmed, apart from now and on Friday's video, which will be on Peter Parker, his namesake, Spider-Man. So I tried luring him quick behind the scenes while I have you guys here before we talk more of the history of cats and answer other questions. I set this up on my stool. Obviously, it's usually covered in like my little knickknacks and things, but I put a blanket up there in the hopes that Peter would sit up there and be really majestic in the background while I'm talking about Peter, right? Well, and Emma and Grace, you guys are YouTubers as well. And Crazy LV, you guys are all YouTubers. You know how it goes. Nothing goes according to plan. So literally, I had that set up. Tammy actually was up there for some time. And Peter, he's just where he is now, over by the door. And I was like, seriously? I set this up for you. I was trying to learn with Dreamies. But then at the very end of filming, while I was filming the outro, guess who goes and sits up there? Yeah, Peter. Literally at the end. And I was like, seriously? I've been filming for 30 minutes and now you go out there? I was so grumpy. I almost refilmed, but I didn't because time was of the essence. But yes, the joys of being a YouTuber. Oh, lucky LD, you're getting a cat soon. Yay! Oh, how exciting. That'll be so delightful. You'll have to share pictures as well of cute little cats. And so pleased to hear you'll be getting a rescue cat soon. There's so many amazing kitty cats out there in the world who need loving homes. And actually, shout out to my own family and my sister in case she's watching at the moment. She's been a foster cat mama for the past couple years, and I'm so proud of her and what she does because that must be so difficult being a foster mom and with the little tinkers and then getting them to a healthy size and whatnot, and then getting them spayed and neutered, and then getting them to homes and having to cycle through that. That must be so hard. So well done to Linz and the team back home. Before I forget, actually, because last week on the live stream, I mentioned, because I got all excited because my friend Tiffany came on, Frances Baker, the amazing artist, and I didn't have you to get to show you guys just how beautiful her work was, even though it's all behind me because it's also at my work. But I wanted to shout out because her orders for Christmas here in the UK end on December 17th. And so you guys only have like 2 weeks to get your orders in for Christmas to get some of her beautiful stuff. Now, I know she's not paying me to say this, by the way. I'm genuinely a fan. This is not an ad disclaimer, but it came in a great kind of recycled kind of envelope, but she gave me a blank card using kind of her artwork as well on the back. So I could write in for this person's gift, which conveniently, I will not be opening the gift because this person may or may not be on this live stream. But look, she even wrapped it for me with her beautiful wrapping paper and her stickers. So like, as if like that wasn't cool enough, like getting something from her, she wrapped it for me and gave me a card. Isn't that cool? So I'll pop her stuff down in the description down below. She's a local, business, and it's great to support small businesses and growing businesses, as I like to say, huh, Grace and Emma, because our friend Shapa, growing businesses, a young business, not a small business. So yes, I'll pop her stuff down so you can check it out. Again, it's ending on December 17th. So her name is Tiffany Frances Baker, and she's on Instagram. I share a lot of her stuff, and I will share again tonight afterwards so you guys can know where to go. But just a beautiful range of art, wrapping paper and whatnot. So shout out to Tiffany, because I was so delighted to get that in the post, and just the fact that she wrapped it and gave me a card. Anyways, so the rest of tonight's live stream, if you have any questions about Peter, feel free to pop them in the description. But I wanted to chat with you guys about cats and the history of cats, and then share with you some 3 recent studies on cats, which I thought were so cool. And don't worry, it's not like on cats, but like research about domestic cats. I realize that sounded weird. But then at the end, my top 3 favorite cats in pulp culture, because, well, that's what we do. And I'm not including any kind of Pokemon-based cats as well. I feel like I should clarify. That would be a whole other topic for discussion, is cats or cat influences in Pokemon, because there's so many to choose from. And it's interesting. Like, a lot of them are dark types. Anyways, I digress. So any questions for Peter, pop them in. I'll try to pay attention. But I'm going to lure Peter as well at the same time. So I feel the history of cats, I should probably go and start with the Felidae family. So within the kind of scientific classifications, you have order, genus, species. Within the family classification of Peter, come on. Within the family classification of Felidae, they are then kind of split into 3 different groups. So we have Panthera, which includes like cats that can roar like lions, tigers, snow leopards, jaguars. Then there's Acinonyx. Shout out to anybody who knows what cat is in Acinonyx. Jubatus is the species, in case you were wondering. And then Felis, that classifies under kind of all other small cats, really. So tell me in the... Okay, spoilers, crazy LV. Yeah, spoilers. But anyone know what cat is in the genus Acinonyx? I will type it in the chat, actually. And you guys, when you'll know why. I'm trying not to give it away based on my grin. But yeah, if anybody knows, type it in the comments down below. So, and also, hi to the friends who will be joining us later, like my friend Jody. I know Jody, you usually watch later, so hello. And let me know, again, in the comments if you're watching this on replay. Anyways, because I know it's quite early in American time over on America. I think you're actually on West Coast time, which is the best coast. Hot take, controversial. Anyways, where was I? Yes, cats, history. Here we go. And I'm throwing cat crunchies around in attempts to lure my own domestic cat. So I feel, obviously, with the Egyptians, and I've done videos on this before, but I got to bring up the Egyptians because what they've done for cats is so fascinating. And there's so many funny trends on Instagram. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the reels, but there's one that I actually did with Kiana where it's like, play this noise and it will remind cats of how they used to be worshipped in ancient Egypt. That was my robotic voice. And it plays a weird kind of noise. And I bet cats are supposed to react to it, I guess. But Kiana kind of looked at me and was like, okay, and then went back to eating crunchies. It was the most Kiana thing in the history of Instagram. But cats really were kind of worshipped and respected in ancient Egypt. And I think kind of as a whole, when you're studying kind of animals in ancient Egypt, it just reminds me of the respect that they had. And, oh, I wish I had a time turner or a time machine to be able to go back and just witness that. Because what an amazing place to be in, where they respected and revered so many different types of animals that nowadays often get like a bad reputation. And cats were one of those. And so skulls of cats have been found in kind of Egyptian burial grounds. Obviously, some have been mummified. I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of the pictures of that. But most of the cats in ancient Egypt belong actually to this species, which when I point, I was pointing to my PowerPoint screen, but now you guys can see it. This cat, this is the African wild cat. And so what breed is Peter? Peter's just a British short hair kind of mongrel cat, just a domestic cat. I wouldn't say mongrel, would I, Pete? No, because you're a far too handsome, sophisticated, distinguished boy for that. But yeah, just a British short hair. Yes, Honesty by G, she gets it. That's right. Bing, 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 we got a winner. It was the cheetah. The cheetah is in a group of its own, quite literally, and acononyx in the classification. But these cats are in, the African wild cat is in the genus Felis, and this is Felis sylvestris libica, the African wild cat, which is believed to be kind of one of the cats that are domesticated cats kind of branched off from. Now, interestingly enough, there's a lot still, even though this stuff happened, 10,000 years ago or more, there's still research being done to find out what's happened in the past. And I love history. And so I'm super excited because stuff keeps kind of changing. Our knowledge keeps expanding. And what we think was the oldest kind of gets rebunked and changed because someone else finds something else. But some recent evidence suggests that domestication of cats occurred about 10,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent of the Middle East, which should come as no surprise because that was the cradle of life, the place between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. And crazy LV, you got a lot to look forward to in history. I'm not sure if you've been covering that one, but it is a great place of obviously the birth of kind of agriculture and cultivation from human side, but corresponding with that, cats playing their role as kind of pest control. And almost some people suggest that cats almost domesticated themselves, or we kind of made it quite easy for them by, growing stuff in agriculture and kind of attracting rodents, which then was easy pickings, if you will, for the kitty friends. Now, probably more recently, and I did mention this in my video, the earliest record as of now, as of this video, of just domestication in cats actually is this. Now, this is actually in Cyprus, of all places, and this was about just over 9,000 years ago, estimates based on kind of carbon dating and whatnot. And it's assumed that domestication kind of happened a bit before this over on Cyprus, because there were no native cats on Cyprus at this time. And so kind of historians believe cats came over kind of on a boat and purposefully, or maybe because they were attracted by rodents or whatever, but then kind of kept on Cyprus as pets and then buried like this. So this is actually from this study. And if there's something that I love more than animals in history, it's archaeology. Yay! And so being able to see that is just so trippy. And seeing it kind of in the ground as well. Like, how crazy would that be to be able to dig up bones? Am I right? Yes. Oh, Tiffany's joined us. Yay! Tiffany, you missed it. I was just bragging about your beautiful artwork. And you came in during the archaeology segment of Shelby on Safari. But yes, thank you so much, Tiffany, for not only kind of wrapping it beautifully and helping me save in wrapping paper, but also with the beautiful card, so I can write the birthday card as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. And guys, December 17th is when you need to get your stuff, and if you live in the UK, from Tiffany's site to get Christmas sorted. And I know it's crazy talking about Christmas in November, but nevertheless. So Peter, are you going to come? This is your live stream. He's literally sitting by the door cleaning himself. And I know one of the questions, actually, I forgot to mention on Instagram, one of the questions was, why are Peter's paws so dirty? Which made me laugh because on Instagram, sometimes I showcase his little toe beans because they're just so cute. I'm not sure I can answer that question. I have asked Peter why he doesn't really clean his feet that well. but I think he prioritizes other areas, like his face, which is ever so adorable. Good old Peter. So we are going to move on. Oops, spoilers I'm going to go back to my big face so you guys don't start guessing already. So a few other things other than Cyprus. So that was kind of ancient history. But now we're going to go a little bit more forward. Seeing as I'm in England, I thought I should mention Geoffrey Chaucer mentioned a cat door in the Canterbury Tales in the 1380s. Now, fun fact, I haven't actually read the Canterbury Tales, but I want to because I want to go to Canterbury. So let me know in the comments, have you actually read the Canterbury Tales? Has anybody read it? Or is it just one of these elusive books that are like known about, but nobody has actually read? I'd be curious, seeing as actually... Well, Rita is on fire tonight, guys. Yeah, sure to get your cat. Yeah. And maybe Alice, maybe. So yes, have you guys read Canterbury Tales? Do you have to read it in school? For my British folks, I have a few British contingent kind of watching this live stream. Let me know. Do you ever have to read the Canterbury Tales? Peter, did you want to come and say hi? I have some dreamies. Come on. And as a thank you, he's run to the Dreamy. Good boy. So, Canterbury Tales mentioned a cat door, which I find hilarious. Oh, Rita has read some. Why am I not surprised, Rita? Did you enjoy it? Or why did you only read some? Okay. Emma did not read Canterbury Tales. Would you want to read Canterbury Tales? I know you're quite busy, Emma, making amazing sweaters or jumpers, as we also call them, by scratch, which is impressive. Okay, very, very rude. I'm not, because it's quite a classy book, Rita. It's a classy book for a classy Rita. Okay, Lucky LD, you've never heard of it. Fair enough. I'm tempted now to read this book. I feel a bit daunted. Hopefully it's not like Great Expectations. And I know hot take saying that because it's Charles Dickens, and I feel like Charles Dickens' ghost is going to haunt me, and it's going to be Christmas Carol, but I fell asleep. Okay, this is really embarrassing. But the one time that I've actually fallen asleep, not because I was tired and reading, but fell asleep because I was bored, was Great Expectations. Yeah. I had to read it for high school, and I felt so awful because I was like, oh my God, it's Charles Dickens. I feel like a horrible human. But I did not like that book whatsoever. But speaking of books and moving on, we're going to hop across the pond now over to America, represent. So from Europe, cats actually boarded on to ships that were going to the Americas. I don't know if they intended to. I mean, I imagine Peter would want to go to America because I think he would enjoy the sun because he's very much into his sun. He likes sitting kind of right in the sun, soaking up the sun. But anyways, cats boarded ships over to the Americas and supposedly tagged along with Christopher Columbus, but also tagged along with those settlers going to Jamestown and even aboard the Mayflower, which ironically sailed out from Southampton, which is not too far from me. And I lost my mind when I was walking around Southampton because of the history in Southampton. Now, if you haven't been, I encourage you to go. It's not too far when you come into London if you're kind of visiting, or some of my friends who live here in England. If you haven't been, do go. The Titanic Museum in Southampton was insane. It was one of the best museums I've been to. And you know how I love a museum. And it was just eye-opening to the impact that the ship's kind of sinking had on a community because of most of the crew coming from Southampton and the effects that kind of then had. And it was just, you don't often think about it. And obviously we think of the film Titanic and think of that, but I highly recommend. But then the Mayflower sailed out of there and I was like, what? This is insane. So yeah, Southampton, definitely worth a visit if you're into your history. Now, leading back to my picture, cats also served as mousers, which I just love that word. My grandpa used to call my Nani, my cat back home in California, who's 20 years old, well done, Nani, a mouser. And I know that's a common phrase, but it still makes me think of him. And cats actually served as mousers in the Postal Service, both in the States, but also here in Britain, which leads me conveniently to my question, which I spoiled for you guys. What was the name of the British Post Office #1 cat? Now, this cat was based in London and served for 14 years. Now, friends, no worries, Emma. I'll see you later. Yes, you listen to the audiobooks. I know a certain Rita who is a fan of audiobooks. That makes sense. So you can do that while you're sewing. So in the comments, let me know, which do you think was the cat's name that was the #1 mouser, the #1 cat of the British Post Office? Was it A, Tibbs the Great, B, Bob, C, Eddie the Great, or D, Henry VIII? Ooh, some different guesses here. How exciting. Grace, straight off the bat, went for B, Bob. Yeah. Crazy LV, B, Bob. Tiffany went for A. Lucky LD went for B as well. We got an A from Rita, A from Alice. Who knows what Rita suggests? But there we go. It is actually A, Tibbs the Great. So well done, Tiffany, Rita, and Alice for that. Tibbs the Great. What a very great name for a cat, even though it has great in the name. There's a picture of Tibbs the Great. Quite the healthy looking cat, I must say. But yeah, I just thought that was so adorable. The cat's helping out the post office. I would have thought it would have been C, Cliff Clavin, and that one probably is for Rita. Giving a shout out to Cheers, of course. A fine American TV program is Cheers indeed. But yeah, good old cats helping out. So now the last two. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh dear. We're back. Here we go. I was getting too ahead, too excited, because talking about cats gets me excited. So there we go. Now that I'm back on track, I want to talk to you guys about 3 quick cat research studies that have been done lately. And by lately, I mean in at least published in 2020 to 2021. And I'll pop them down in the description down below so you can check them out after. One of which is very important and very entertaining. And I feel if you have a cat, should be of most interest to you. And even if you don't have a cat, is quite interesting. And I'm starting off with that one. It is about the power of catnip, friends. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but nothing brings me much joy greater than watching a cat on catnip. Peter, how do you react when you're on catnip? Oh, look, he's back in his spot. Oh, how exciting. What a good boy. Peter gets a bit funny. I will say some cats get the zoomies. Some cats just go to sleep. But apart from the aesthetically funness of catnip, of owners watching cats on catnip, one study suggests something quite powerful about it. Where the rubbing behavior, when cats rub kind of it on their faces and just kind of roll around in it, it transfers something called, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, nepentacodol. Yeah, you can tell I didn't have fun in chemistry when I had to take it. It transfers nepentacodol, there we go, onto the faces and the heads of these cats, where this will then repel the mosquito. Now, this crazy word, nepentacodol, I think was both not just in catnip, but also what is the other one? It's like silver leaf thing. Oh gosh, this is awkward. It's in catnip and that one, which is also kind of used by cats. And so, yeah, it suggests that this rubbing behavior of cats rubbing catnip is not necessarily just because they're enjoying the smell, but actually has a function behind it, which is really interesting because, yeah, in the study, they said, like, oh, this behavior hasn't been studied that much. And so then they did it. And I think that's one of the fun things about kind of research is when you kind of, as a scientist, are kind of pitching your research, you find you should be finding and addressing gaps in the literature and saying, yes, this research fulfills this gap. And I never would have thought of like why cats kind of enjoy and rub in catnip would be studied, but it has now, and it is starting to be studied more and more, which is exciting. So yeah, so something to consider and look into more in the future is the power of catnip, not just for us humans having a good time laughing at our cats, but it could repel mosquitoes. Now, I'm not suggesting, although I highly would, for myself, I'd be up for trying rubbing that on, because I do not get on well with mosquitoes. Mosquitoes get on well with me because they like to bite me, but no, thank you. So I might actually try that. What do you think, Pete? Oh, he's so cute. Anyways, I'm glad he's behind me, because if he was in my lap, I'd be distracted, even more so than I already am. So the second study that I wanted to share with you really quick that's been happening before we talk about pop culture cats, and I can't wait to hear what your favorite cats in pop culture are, actually revolves around separation related problems. And this one came to mind because of kind of going back to work, because we were very spoiled, to some extent during lockdown when we got to spend time with our cats, and they kind of became like, I would like to think, and I'm not trying to be anthropomorphic about it, but I think they got used to us being around, especially Maui. Maui's a very dependent cat. But this study surveyed 130 cat owners that owned over 200 cats. Not one person owned over 200 cats, but amongst those studied, a total of over 200 cats. And they found that 13% of those cat owners reported one of the behavioral criteria that defined separation-related problems. And so those behaviors ranged from destructive behavior to like peeing in weird places to kind of awkward vocalizations that might not happen kind of normally, things like that. And I'll put the study in the description below so you could have a read, because it was quite interesting. Because often what they find, speaking of gaps in literature, they were saying how many studies have looked at separation related problems in dogs, but not really in cats. And I think that's one of those interesting kind of stereotypies where we're like, oh, cats are so independent, they don't really care. And yes, to some extent, obviously, they're a bit more independent than dogs. But at the same time, we should still be evaluating kind of this issue, especially with kind of things of most people going back to work and the impacts that may or may not have on our animals. Very interesting. And of those behaviors, they found of the 13% that had that behavior-related problem that was a part of kind of separation anxiety, if you will, it was destructive behavior, which was quite interesting. And so, yeah, made me think of my couch. Just kidding. They do think of it as a scratching post. And Peter, you're not so guilty of that. Peter's quite respectful of the couch. I'd say Kiana and Maui are probably the two most disrespectful of the couch. And that's not really surprising given Kiana's attitude and Maui's attitude. But Peter's very respectful. I don't know if you can still see him. He's still sleeping there. Sorry, but what is catnip? So it's like kind of herbal stuff that is it comes from a plant, and it does kind of enact a kind of endorphin response in cats. I don't know if I glitched out there, but it's a plant that is quite, it gets cats quite excited, and different cats kind of respond different ways. You could say it's a drug per se, but it does elicit some kind of response, whether they get like the zoomies or if they just get super playful. It does a little bit different stuff in kind of each individual cat, and depending kind of how the catnip is presented. Sometimes catnip, the little like crushed kind of leaves of the plant are put in toys. That's often the case, or like little sachet packs that you can then kind of sprinkle around, things like that. I think there's like some catnip dreamies that we've had before, but yeah, that's what catnip is. So the last one, again, going back to history before we talk about cats and pulp culture, is with cat remains. Again, very exciting. And again, I bring up my point of cat, like the history, and how even though it's in the past, we're still finding stuff out today, and our past keeps not changing, but our knowledge keeps expanding. And so the picture of the past gets clearer and clearer as we go. So this study was looking at kind of cat remains that were found in Poland, of all places, dating back to about 4000 to 2000 BCE. And they kind of said that this was the earliest evidence, as of now, of the migration of the Near Eastern cat, the ancestor kind of domestic cats, into Central Europe. And what they propose by looking at not just kind of those remains, but also the isotopic signature, so looking into the remains of rodents at that time, was that those kind of pests were a key part of the cat's diet at this point. So not necessarily relying on humans, they were relying indirectly, I guess, on humans because of the rodents that were attracted to agriculture. So not quite domesticated in that sense, but getting to that point. And I think that's so cool from like just a science standpoint, where they use that. They used the remnants of rodents kind of around that same time to see actually, you know, were these cats eating this, or were they kind of eating more kind of human, relying on humans for food, things like that. I don't know about you guys, but that's just so fascinating to be able to, where technology, modern technology, allows us to look that much detailed back so we can see kind of cats. And I think another area of research, and again, I'll pop this down in the description below, that currently is also evolving is the impact, or, you know, is there an impact of cats on wild populations of birds? And I know Dom often hops on here from Domberta and things like that. And there's a huge kind of divide between cat lovers and wildlife lovers. And that's a very oversimplification of the problem, because many people like myself love both. And so studies are always being published. And if you do Google like cat wildlife population into like Google Scholar, you'll see so many different types of articles from both sides, and many different sides actually, of the fence. And I feel like it is something that should be discussed. And I will put kind of one in the description down below of a paper that, in my opinion, did a nice job of showcasing the different kind of arguments and whatnot. And it's not going to be a one size fits all kind of answer to that solution. And I think that, you know, this live stream, it wouldn't do it justice. I wouldn't do that argument justice to discuss it in further, but it is an important area of research that is being done. And, you know, it is being actively kind of looked into, especially with regards, you know, to feral cats in particular, and the impacts that they can have on, you know, native species, more importantly, and things like that. Anyways, oh my gosh, look who's joined us. Tiffany. Speaking of feral cats and cats in the wild, good old Tiffany, guys. She's over in Greece, and she also loves cats. At least I love seeing her Instagram on cats. She loves cats and fairies. I do love it when you post fairy pictures, Tiff. But yeah, Peter is with me tonight. He's just sleeping up there. And then good old Jason has made it. Hello, Jason, troublemaker. I'm working on my lighting and my setup. I need Jason's help actually getting this studio set up, because Jason knows everything when it comes to tech gizmos, gadgets, and testing microphones, and doing some pretty rad filming while dancing as well. Jason's a great ballet dancer, so I highly recommend, if you're into any of that, definitely check those guys out. So we've talked Peter. We've had a quick kind of Q&A with Peter, which, by the way, if you have any other questions for Peter, please be sure to pop them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer on behalf of my handsome sleeping boy. And you may be wondering, why is Shelby doing this with Peter and not Maui? But that's because this week Peter is taking over my Instagram and YouTube, because Friday's video is all about his namesake, Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. And I'm going to be looking into what real life animal is like Spider-Man. And no, it is not a spider. So hot take Shelly coming in fast and furious on Friday. So hopefully you guys will join me for that one. I'm so excited to share it with you in the lead up to Spider-Man No Way Home hitting theaters in just a few days' time. In fact, I got my tickets. We also talked about kind of cats in history. Just spent some time looking at some recent cat studies and research being done on domesticated cats, which is very exciting. But now it's time to talk cats in pulp culture, because y'all know It is all about pulp culture here, as well as history and animals on Shelby on Safari. Which, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm so close to my 1,000 subscribers, and I'm ever so thankful for all that you guys do to help support my channel and Instagram and whatnot. So thank you so much. But first and foremost, let's talk about cats and pulp culture. So Crazy LV and Emma, my Harry Potter fans, you'll recognize the cat over to the left. Now, this third place was tied. I couldn't quite decide for my third favorite cat in pulp culture. Crookshanks, Hermione's cat, is there, and I love Crookshanks because we recently listened to the audiobooks of Harry Potter again. Audiobook, shout out to you, Emma, for what you do when you're sewing and creating all sorts of magic in your studio. But it was fascinating to hear because they hint to it in the movies, but I don't think they quite do it the same justice, with Crookshanks obviously being quite aware from early on, spoilers, that Ron's rat is not quite what we think it is, because Crookshanks is always out trying to get him, but just the personality of Crookshanks that shines through in the books. I don't know. I just love it. So Crookshanks is for sure on there. And let's be honest, if I was to go to Hogwarts, I'd be a Gryffindor, but I'd also bring a cat with me. And an owl and a lot of other animals. But yes, definitely a cat. And then over on the right-hand side, my other tied for third place is Goose the Cat. Now, Goose probably shouldn't be on this countdown because Goose, if you are a fan of Marvel, you'll know Goose is not actually a cat, but a flurkin. But I love Goose, and for many, many different reasons. But also one is because of a thing that I was hoping we were going to see in Captain Marvel, where Nick Fury, in a famous line, said, "The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye." And in Captain Marvel, we see how he lost his eye. And Goose, the flurkin, may or may not have been a part of that. And it was just rather ironic. And you'll note also that both of these cats are ginger. You would think I have a thing for ginger cats. And also shout out to my cat Tigger back home in California as well. He's a very handsome boy. But you're the handsomest. Don't worry, Pete. All right, so be sure to let me know. Whoa, 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 whoa. Boo Gryffindor? Oh, that's taking it a step far, don't you say, Al? All right. Yes, I think agreed, Emma. We all need to be a bit more Peter for sure. He's so chill. And then, although it is getting close to his food time, so he's gonna get less chill as we go. Now, okay, Grace is saying Pink Panther, good shout. Garfield, also a good one. Ooh, Cat from Cat and Dog. I forgot about them. I wouldn't say in the top 3, but I did enjoy Cat Dog. I found that highly amusing. So the second one has to be Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Now, I fear that this might date myself because some of my friends watching this may not know Sabrina the Teenage Witch with Melissa Joan Hart. And I know this cat was animatronic and whatnot, but I just love the attitude of Salem and the funniness. And obviously I have a thing for black cats as well. And funny story, I actually met Melissa Joan Hart. There's a funny picture. How old was I? I think I was like 9 or 10 or 11. I was quite young. And it was at an event that my dad was working at for celebrity race car drivers. So they do a Toyota Grand Prix event in Long Beach where professional race car racers drive around this track in Long Beach, California. But then they also have a celebrity race, and they don't just chuck celebrities in the car. They actually give the celebrities an opportunity to practice kind of competitive driving before they go on the course. And so my dad would be doing interviews and behind the scenes with them at this course. And I remember the year when I went with my dad, and he was like, "Oh, Melissa Joan Hart is going to be there." And I lost my mind because I knew her from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And there's a picture of me being ever so dorky, ever so giddy with Melissa Joan Hart. And it was fabulous. But yes. Oh, Josie and the Pussycats count. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm Aaron no on that one. But yes, definitely Salem has to be up there in the top 3. He's probably number 2. Now, I'd be keen to see, Crazy LV, good shout. I totally forgot about Professor McGonagall, because technically, yes, you're right, she's an animagus. Ooh. Because yeah, Professor McGonagall is one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. Ooh, you've thrown a kink in the plan, Crazy LV. Yes, I'm glad Tiffany enjoys Salem as well. So, what do you guys think about number 1? I'd be keen to see. Hopefully, you guys get this reference. It's one of my favorite Disney films, and without a doubt, I have to say, I couldn't choose just one. Although, of course, being prone to my love of ginger cats with Peter, Tigger, and those, I had to go with the Aristocats. And Thomas O'Malley is definitely up there. Marie is on there. Marie's super cute. Toulouse is so sweet. And of course, Duchess. Duchess is what I imagine Kiana would be in my mind, but Kiana is not as polite as Duchess, let's be honest. But yes, definitely the Aristocats is up there. And if you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend you do. It is hilarious. Yeah, there's so many different funny anthropomorphic animals in this film. And the butler did do it in this one, spoilers. But yeah, the Aristocats is a lovely film, warms my heart. And yeah, in fact, I think my sister might turn out to be like the owner of Duchess and the Kittens. What's her name? I feel like Lindsay would turn out to be like that, surrounded by cats, and open up her house for all the cats, all the stray cats. In fact, I feel like that's happened already, oddly enough. Oh, Lucky Ellie. Yeah, that's right. I love when all the cats are singing. Yeah, it is a classic tune. And yeah, Grace, you're right with Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. So some fabulous cats in pop culture. I will say you guys threw some great ones out there that threw me for a loop. It is hard to pick, just a handful because there are so many great cats in pop culture. And like I said, that might be a great one to discuss, cats and Pokemon, really, because there are some interesting kind of felines in that franchise, so maybe one for the future. So we did a lot tonight, a lot of cats tonight, lots and lots of cats. We had a quick Q&A with my man Pete. We talked cats in history, some recent research on cats, and then cats in pop culture. I hope you guys had a cat-filled evening, hopefully. Yeah, you've learned something new about cats, or even if it was just kind of watching Peter. Grace made a great suggestion the other night of maybe getting cat cam, which I totally would do because I bet it would be very entertaining at some points to watch the cats, although they sleep a lot of the time. But yeah, someone like Peter who sleeps with the best expressions on his face. So hopefully you guys follow me on Instagram so you can continue to see Peter content all week. I have a couple other pictures as well as some reels of Peter being most adorable. But then more importantly, on Friday here at hopefully 8 o'clock British time, I will be premiering the video that I've been waiting to share with you guys for ages. In fact, all of you on this live stream, no matter how close we are, don't know what animal I'm comparing Spider-Man to. And I am so excited for that because I think you guys are going to be surprised by it and hopefully pleasantly surprised because it's a bit out there, but also not too out there. Anyways, before I spoil Friday's video of what the animal is I'm comparing to Spider-Man, thank you so much for hanging out with me and Peter tonight. It was great being able to see so many of my familiar friends on here. And again, if you've been watching on replay, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to say hi. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me, guys. And I will see you in Friday's video. Have a good one, guys. Good night.